In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the brand new Snowfall stamp and die set from John Next Door to make a beautiful card, and how you can use the different elements in here to put it all together. So here I've got, they come together as a set, so you get the stamp and the matching die, and the die lays over the stamp to cut out the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 snowflakes that are kind of hidden within the design. It's quite an intricate design, so it works perfectly as a collage or a background stamp. So I'm going to start by stamping the background. So I'm going to use my press to impress, and I've got here a piece of white card, just standard white stamping card. I just cut this to a 6x6 square. I'm just going to hold it in place, and I'm going to take the stamp, and there is a right and a wrong way. So there is a sort of snow, let it snow running through there. So if you want to get it up the right way, just make sure that you've got the snow running right at the top. And what I want to do is I'm placing this to the left hand side, because I'm going to repeat it so that I get a nice square. So just make sure that it's adhered properly to the top. And I'm using VersaFine in Onyx Black, which is a really nice oil-based ink, which gives you a really clean, crisp stamped image. If you use other inks with this stamp, because it's so detailed, you will find that it blurs slightly, which gives you a beautiful sort of blurry look to it. I'll be showing you that when we actually do this with a pigment ink. So I'm just inking the stamp as normal. Press it over and just give it a good press down. Now, it is quite a large stamp, being A6 size, so if you struggle to get the contact or the pressure, just use something like the John Next Door brayer and run that over, and that allows you to put pressure on without you having to put pressure on yourself. We'll lift it up and check and see that everything is stamped beautifully and clear. If there's anywhere we're not sure about, we can put it back on and give it another impression. And you can see there you've got that beautiful texturing in the background, the stars, the fine lines and the snowflakes. And by doing this in a VersaFine or a dye-based ink, you get this beautiful clear impression. So as I said, I want to repeat this, so I'm just going to take the stamp, and it doesn't match up, so don't worry about trying to make it match up, but because it's a background and we're going to put things on the top, it doesn't matter. So I'm putting it roughly where that seam is, picking the stamp up again, and then I'm just going to ink the stamp, and I'm only really inking the section that I'm going to be stamping. I would suggest you put one of the paper inserts into here just to stop it getting onto the foam, but again we just press it down or use the brayer to give it a little bit of pressure. And when we lift that up, you can see there we've got that design. Don't worry about the line, because we're going to cover that with some snowflakes, but there we've got a beautiful sort of background, and we could ink over that, we could colour over it, we can stamp it over coloured backgrounds. It works beautifully as a stamp, and for quick Christmas cards or winter cards it really works. So what we want to do now is, I'm now going to stamp with some pigment ink onto black card. So I've just got a plain, again, a smooth black card here. What I do want to do is to just get any excess ink off. So you could clean your stamp. What I'm going to do is just use this piece of a scrap piece of paper that we're going to use in a little while anyway. So let's just stamp that, make sure we've got all of the black off there, and pop that to one side. And now we're going to stamp this with a pigment ink. Now, pigment ink is a lot thicker. I'm using Eyes Ink in Gold, and so this doesn't show fine detail anywhere near as well. So you'll get quite trying to think of the right phrase, you'll get quite a blurry image from this, but it works absolutely beautifully when you cut it, because you get some gorgeous distressed snowflakes. So I'm just putting the ink on. Now you will probably need to ink this and stamp this 2 or 3 times, as the ink is gold, and so which means it contains mica, which means that sometimes you need to build up a coating. So you can see there I've got a basis on there. Just going to use my brayer just to give myself a good press. Okay, and then I'm going to go back in with the ink again. So as I say, you may need to do this 2 or 3 times just to make sure, and I would suggest that you clean your stamp after this. Just use the Crafts 2 stamp cleaning press or stamp cleaning pad to clean your stamp off, because you don't want to leave the pigment ink. It won't damage the stamp, but obviously it means the next time you stamp in a cleaner ink, you may get it a little bit blurry. So you can see there, it's starting to come out. Don't worry about any of these lines or anything. This is exactly what we want. So I'm now going to go in for a third one. And all I'm really doing this time is focusing on the snowflakes. So giving them a good ink, and we'll press it down. Again, I'm using quite an old ink pad, so if you may find with a newer one that you get you don't need to do sort of the 3 layers. But what I want is quite distressed snowflakes. So you can see there, the design is starting to come through. I'm getting those snowflakes showing through. It's a little bit blurry, but it'll work perfectly when we die cut it. So now I'm going to align the die with it. So all you need to do is place the die roughly over the top. And if you look through, you will see these hexagons in the center of the snowflakes. So all you do is line those hexagons up and simply tape down to secure it. I'm using quite a thick card as well. I'm using a 350 GSM card on this one, so I will probably need to shim this. So if I do, for normal card I wouldn't need to, but it's always worth showing you. So if you need to shim it, just take another piece of card, or best way to do it is to use the Crafts 2 metal shim, which is designed specifically for this. We pop that on, and I'm going to run that through my Kaleido. So I'm just die cutting that as I would do normally, going forward and coming back, which I know you can't see as it's off camera. There we go. And then when I pop that off, because each snowflake is quite intricate, you just push them through, either from the front or from the back. So I'm just going to push each one of these out. But can you see how when they come out, you get all that beautiful detail, and you've got like a sort of old gold distressed look. I love this look for them. And again, it just gives so much detail on this. It's beautiful. Again, you could use the background for another card, perhaps put a perfectly stamped image behind it to show the snowflakes through this sort of background. Let's just pop this last one out. There we go. See, each one comes out perfectly, leaving us almost the shape of a tree. So there's a start there where you can actually start to build up more snowflakes and make it look like a tree effect. But for now, all we want are these. So I'm going to move those to one side. I've got a few more that I've already cut. So I'll bring those in just to the edge. And all I've done is taken the background that I've stamped, and I framed it here using the press cut stitch dot and plain squares in red, black and gold, just to bring all those colours together. You can see now how that background really works. You get the beautiful Let It Snow. Again, we've got that little line, but we are going to be covering that. So what we'll do is we'll take individual pieces or individual snowflakes, and you can use silicone gel. That's probably a little bit easier and quicker for this, but for speed, because I'm doing this on camera, I'm going to be using foam tape. But all I'm doing to start with is just putting a little bit of foam tape on the back of each one and putting these almost where the pattern is or where I want to cover. So I want to conceal that line. So I've popped one there. So we'll take the next size. And you don't want to cover all of them. It's entirely up to you, but I think just doing a few of them, that one fits perfectly there. And it just really makes this pop, that makes the background pop, having this ability to cut out elements from it and do them as we've done here in different colours and things like that. So we'll pop another one just there. We need a medium-sized one, and we'll have that there. You can see the shadowing from behind really works. I've got another smaller one that I'm going to pop in there, and you just keep adding these until you're happy with the design. As I say, you don't have to cover all of the areas. All you need to do is put them in a few places just to sort of balance it out. I'm actually going to put one there, so all I'm going to do is chop this, check the design, chop this in half because it's going underneath, a little bit of foam tape, and we'll put that one on. Let's slot that into place there. So you can see now we've got those snowflakes on there. And then all I do is continue this design. So I've stamped and die cut this twice because I'm going to continue this design onto the frame so that they're kind of going all the way along the frame. So we just again continue putting them on. Let's have another large one at the other end, and you can build them up, so you can add different sizes because they're all the same design. Each snowflake is just a little bit smaller than the one that precedes it, so you don't have to worry they will match on top of each other. There's so many different things you can do with this snowflake, either with it being stamped or not. Yeah, I think we'll go there and here. So we just keep the design going. I like everything in odd numbers, so I keep going for sort of 3s or 5s. But again, do it to your style and what you like. I'm going to put another one there. Actually. So there we've got all of our snowflakes on. As I said, if you want to, you can make this even more 3D by adding other size snowflakes on top. So I'm going to add this one on top here. Take one of the tiny ones and add it onto that one there. But you get this beautiful distressed look by stamping them in the pigment ink onto the black card. As I say, you don't want it to be perfect, you want it to look a little bit distressed. So let's put a third one in there. And then to finish off, all I've done is, if you remember earlier, I stamped the waist on a bit of scrap. I could do this, stamp it again, and I've just cut out the Let It Snow from the stamp background. And all I'm going to do is I've matted this onto a little bit more of the gold and the red, and I'm going to pop that in, I think, just there. Let's take this one off. Let's pop him in. So that's over where it says Let It Snow, and we'll pop that snowflake back on overlapping. And you can see there we've made a beautiful card with all the snowflakes, simply using one stamp and die set and then some others for the frame.